Moliehi is an award-winning Pan-African PR and reputation management executive. In this episode of Speaking from the Heart, this globe-trotting superwoman breaks down her past, present, and future.
So my name is Moliehi. I was born in the Free State, Eastern Free State, in the town of Bethlehem, but my family originally lives in Kwakwa, Putedichava. I come from a family of 5, 3 siblings. I'm the youngest. My father, he was a pastor who also is a farmer. So we grew up in a house that was always full of people because originally they are coming from Lesotho. So they were the connection between South Africa and Lesotho. So a whole lot of family members, when they wanted to come to South Africa, or when they had to come for medical reasons or anything else, or for better opportunities, they would come to our house. So as much as my nucleus is 5 people, we were always more than 5. My mother worked as a sales lady at a shop called Smart Center at the time. It doesn't exist now. But while she was working there, she then went back to school to complete her matric and then go to a teacher's college, Tia Teacher's College in Kwakwa, and she became a teacher. We then moved to Gauteng when I was 10 years old, and my dad continued with his farming, but it was a dual profession. As I said, he's a pastor. So church has always been part of who I am. My schooling was quite, it was a very, very interesting kind of environment, because we moved from the Free State and we came to Gauteng, and by this time my mom had qualified as a teacher, so she got a job at this school in Vereeniging, Val Christian School, and automatically we then attended that school, my siblings and I, and it was quite an interesting kind of an environment, because it was a multiracial. So coming from the Free State, where one went into a government school, and coming into a multiracial situation, and just also with kids from all over the place, and it's not just Sotho speaking. In Kwakwa we were Sotho speaking, so now we have Zulus, we have all these different cultures and different children that are coming from different homes, and just to adjust to that and to find yourself, because at the same time your progress of growing it's underway. So it's just to come of your own and to find who you are, find your voice, and to be able to adapt. From there, I went into my high school. I went to Lenasia South Secondary School. That's where I did my high school. It was a predominantly Indian school. So again, there was a cultural shift. So now mixing with another culture, finding yourself again, and having friends, building relationships there. From there, I went to Wits Technikon. That's where I studied for my profession, that is public relations. I did my first year, then took a gap year. I went overseas, spent a year overseas, came back, completed my diploma, and was fortunate enough to do my internship, where they then took me as a permanent account manager. And I've then since grew within the industry. I would say the fact that one never really had the space to just say, this is my time. Your time has been shared with other people, or your time has been, in the midst of everything else that's happening. If it's not, going to Lesotho because there's a relative that is sick, or because you are going there for church, there is always something happening. There are vegetables that need to be sold, and all of those kind of things. So I think that has always been a little bit of a problem, that you don't necessarily have your own time, or your own time even with your family. It's always a very inclusive environment. There's always other people. But beyond that, there hasn't really been anything that I could say it was a challenge that would cripple anyone to think beyond their potential and to become something of themselves. I can never say I'm selfish. I don't know what it is to be selfish. If there's anything that my parents have taught me, is that there is enough for everyone. That you must always, you are your brother's keeper. You are, your sister's keeper. You must always look after the well-being of others, and know that if God cares for you, and He has put you here for a reason and for a purpose. That purpose, if you haven't discovered it, is to care for the next person. I learned a lot from my mother. And I've tried very hard. I try very hard to give everybody space for my kids to grow into their own and for them to find themselves. As a child, as I was growing up, I have never been spanked. And even with my kids, they're like, "Are you serious, Mom?" I'm like, "Ask your grandparents. Here they are." I've never. Because I had an older brother and an older sister. And I've always seen what got my parents angry about them. And I'm like, "Hey, man, guys, so why would I do that? So these people, they don't like when you come home late. These people, they don't like when you do this thing. Oh, okay, let me not do them. Let me spare myself that, So for me, I've been very logical. I'm just like, if somebody says they don't like this thing, they don't like it, stop it. Don't do it and try to fix and try and change them or something, So even with my kids at home, they have that siblings rivalry, or sometimes they just irritate each other, take each other's, phone and whatever. And I said, when somebody says stop it, immediately stop. They don't have to explain why they're saying stop. No, it's a full sentence. I think the biggest for me has always been to be honest with yourself. Honesty has played a big role, and it has helped me to be able to be content with who I am and where I am in life. This whole thing of fake it till you make it. Sometimes you hurt yourself in the process. So being honest of where you are and the space where you are in, it has been very, very important. I mean, I didn't grow up, my parents didn't have much, but with the little that they've had, they were honest to say, this is what we have. If today we are eating bread and it doesn't have peanut butter and jam, that's what it is. That's what we are having. We are not going to fake it and now go into debt just because we have a guest coming and we have to pretend as if we have the Sunday best. If this is our Sunday best, this is our Sunday best. And that has really, really helped me to say, you know what, you have to accept me as I am. I don't come with any frills. I don't come with anything else. This is who I am. And if that's not enough for the next person or for you, then tough luck.
Coming up next, Moliehi speaks about the importance of being seen.
There's a connection of I see you and I want to be in that space with you. I really, to be honest with you, I don't know who I was. I was just a girl who found herself having being accepted into a tertiary education to study a course that she was about to find out what it's all about, who is still discovering herself in terms of, what defines her. I was also a very late bloomer. I only had my first boyfriend after my first year of university. It was never something that I was interested in. As I said, I was a bookworm. I would spend time reading. I would spend time watching my legal, dramas and being at home, doing whatever else I was doing. I was also quite entrepreneurial. I used to help my dad and at the community in the office. I did a bit of editing because I had one of the community member was a film editor. They did Soweto Green, so I would edit. I took up photography. There was a lot that was keeping me busy. So I was never really focused on who am I and what is happening with me. what am I supposed to be? And so I think the journey of becoming for me, it's an always on journey. You know, I can't even now say I've arrived in terms of who I'm supposed to be. It's a constant journey. I discover I'm a dynamic being every single day. I find that I've got talents and I've got things that I can do that I never thought I would find myself actually branching into this avenue, and I'm doing it and it's working out. So, you know what, life is a journey and I'm enjoying each and every part of it. I think my first crush, it was Rich Forrester from The Bold and the Beautiful. Tell me which girl who grew during that time did not think Rich was the guy, you know, that four-square chin and you. Yo, yeah, I'm married now. But really, that was my first crush. I used to like the guy, and I followed. I think also that's where I perfected my English, watching The Bold and the Beautiful, The Days of Our Lives, all of those soapies that are surprisingly still around. But anyway, but yeah. So that was my first crush. My first love, I think my first love was my husband. There were about 3 other guys before him, but I think really the person that I connected with and that I felt that, all right, I can do this life thing with was my husband. Love has always been around me. And that's why I always say, for me, even with my Christian journey, it has always been so easy for me to love God who I have not seen, because of what love my dad has shown me what love is. He personified love. So when somebody tells me about I love you, I understand that in a human form, because I have this person who was and who is always there to show me what it is. It is a presence of somebody who gives of themselves without, needing anything in return, and they just give. I don't know how they refill themselves, but they are there for you when you need them most. And even if you are just don't think you need them, they are there, So I have always been surrounded by that sense of love, that when it walks in, you can recognize that this is love. It doesn't have to be covered in money. It doesn't have to be covered in, roses or whatever. Just the presence of somebody connecting with you. You can see that this person is connecting not with who I am or what I can do for them. They are connecting with me, the person. And that's all that matters. Love is being completely and utterly vulnerable. I need to be in a space where I can just be. I don't need to pretend. I don't need to make things up. It is just me. In my brokenness, you still love me. In my highest moment, you still love me. In my waking up, you still love me. That is, for me, is love. When I'm broke, you love me. When I've got money, you love me. And it is outside of any and everything that is material or that is man-made. Is a connection of the spirit. It's a connection of I see you and I want to be in that space with you.
More with Moliehi as she gives us oxygen.
It's actually realizing that your breath matters. I completed my diploma in 2001. It was supposed to be, as I said, I took a gap year, went overseas, worked there for a year, came back, went into my second year. And as part of the qualification, you had to do internship and do your working hours. I did that at a company that was called Integrated Communications at the time. I got in, did my internship. Towards the end of it, they gave me a full-time job, which I accepted. And I worked there for about 3 to 4 years. And it was the founding years for me in my career. I then moved from Integrated Communications to PR Dynamics. Again, it's no longer there. The agency is no longer there. I think I didn't stay long. I stayed for a year and a half, and then I felt that I was reaching my ceiling in terms of the level and in terms of the career. Then I sort of like took a short left, went and there was a competition by YFM, a photography competition that they had running. I was like, well, I've been doing this photography thing on the side. So maybe let me just try it out and see if I can do it at a professional level. They called me and said, we found your entry and we could not actually allow ourselves to continue without having you participate in this competition. So that's how I got that 1-year scholarship to study photography at the Market Photo Workshop. And during that time, I was still consulting on the side. So I went into freelancing. So I was a freelance photographer while doing some bit of corporate PR consulting. Got married, fell pregnant, had my first child in 2005. And that's when I realized, you know what, freelancing doesn't offer that stability. I need stability now. One is no longer just looking after themselves. They've got a child to look after, and there are all these other pressures that you have to now actually take care of. So I went back into full-time employment. I was hired by Magna Carta Reputation Management. At the time, it was Magna Carta PR. That's where I went in 2005, and that's where I'm still at. I think what the digital world has actually done, it has just magnified everything, where else previously everything was, you know what, I'm in my little corner, that's where it's going to end. Right now, everyone lives in a glass house. Everyone can see what you do, whether it's in private, it's never private. You cannot delete a tweet within that split second. Somebody has done a screenshot of it and has shared it. So there is no privacy. You don't have the comfort of just sitting there and just saying, you know what, we are having a private moment. So I always say to people that there is absolutely nothing private. Whatever you say to me, and for me, that's where the value of honesty comes in, to say you must be honest in each and every moment. And if there's anything that this digital world has taught us, is that it actually can save you. It has just expanded and just extended your stakeholders. You now speak to the broader church. Your message can really be transferred far and wide, and it can be heard by millions of people. And that has been good in terms of positioning, in terms of making sure that all your stakeholders can hear what you have to say at that particular time. It has made clear is that you can never satisfy everybody. There will always be a certain amount of people who are there just for the sake of, we are just going to disagree for the sake of disagreeing. So you have to make peace with that not everyone would understand why I'm here, why I'm doing what I'm doing, and be at peace with that. And the fact is, whether you are speaking or you are in those platforms, other people are talking about you. So you must decide, do you want to be part of the conversation or not? One of my biggest highlights was opening the Oprah Winfrey School for Girls in 2007. So we were the agency for Miss Winfrey and her team. So we basically did the whole media event around that. It was one event where you were not short of media wanting to cover the event. Sometimes you have to call your friends and bribe them. can you please just cover this? I need people to come and just, for client to know that business day is here, financial mail is here. With that one, you had to actually turn people away because everybody wanted to cover the opening of the school. So I worked on that account for 5 years. So I did the opening. I also did the first matric graduation. That was a highlight for me because also it was a culmination of a dream come true. When I took my gap year in 99, I spent a year in Chicago, and that's where Oprah had a studio. So I went to her post studio, and years later and I didn't meet her then. It was just you go in as a tourist, you tour the space, and you take photos there, and you're like, hey, her post studios. And years later, to be sitting, side by side with a woman, it was just like, you know what, black girl, your dreams are valid. Dream it, and it will happen. Never limit yourself. You can never limit yourself. You are here for a reason. And for me, that's why I keep on saying, sometimes you might not know what your purpose is, but just living in that moment is actually realizing that your breath matters, because maybe it's a word that we have said to somebody that gives them life for that particular moment. So that was one of my big highlights. The second highlight was, expanding Magna Carta's footprint across the continent. We're currently present in 18 markets across the continent, and this is a journey that started now in 2007, when we realized that the continent is now deemed as a last frontier in terms of growth. In terms of business expansion, we are the youngest continent. We are that's where the resources are, and all this multinational now we're having a big focus on the continent, but they didn't know how to engage with their consumers. They didn't know how to engage with government and all of those things. So we had already established ourselves as one of the best PR agency in South Africa. The next thing was to expand. So we then expanded on the continent. So I've traveled extensively across the continent, and just stepping into a plane, going into a different country, you learn every single day that, you know what, actually you don't know anything. And my biggest advantage has always been, go there and explore. You don't come with solutions. You go and you co-create. Because when South Africans went into the rest of the continent, and you must understand, I'm saying it correctly. The rest of you saying, when we are going into Africa, as if you are not in Africa. So it was just even teaching and understanding where we are in the continent, and that we are part of it, and seeing your brothers and sisters as, you know what, we are one. The people that have divided us, we have the power to stop that division. We need to start seeing a borderless Africa. We need to start seeing what is out there, what can we learn. I absolutely love and still love my travels across the continent. If right now with COVID and the whole lockdown, I have been physically, cabin fever has killed me, because I'll be like, oh, I would have been in this place, and just to explore the culture, just to be with friends, and just to also establish new relationship, learn new things, is basically where been some of the advantages of my career, and things that I have loved. I have worked with some amazing accounts and clients, done some groundbreaking stuff, helped manage some of South Africa's biggest crisis. Your dreams are valid. If you dream it, you can be it. Never despise yourself. Don't ever think that, you know what, oh me, little me coming from a dusty street, how can I? The fact that you have that thought of, I could be this person, you can be that person. All the great people around the world, if you look and you listen to their stories, they come from somewhere. No one was made just like that. They had to work at it, They had to believe in themselves, and they had to have people that believed in them, and they had people that had to open doors for them. And ultimately, you reach your dream, you reach your goal. And once you do that, the opportunities for you to look back again and saying, all right, somebody believed in me. Can I do the same for others? Don't now just walk in the street of gold and like, hey, I've arrived, and you just go and you just dance alone. You know, dancing alone does not work. You need to make sure that others are there dancing on that street of gold with you. And they could also say, you know what, there was somebody who walked the journey before me. They showed me the rope, they opened the doors for me, and now I can walk in. And you don't have to do that. It doesn't have to be a public thing that you do, you know. Because I mean, you would think, okay, I'm saying all of this thing at the same time saying I'm private. All of this thing, you can do this. It doesn't have to be publicized. You don't have to have a party all the time and people thinking, okay, you're opening the doors for me, you're connecting me. You can do this thing in your own special way. You know, I can live here, and where I go and I talk about the experience that I've had with you guys. And that's all I can do. I don't need to circle back to you and say, oh, I spoke to whoever about. And that's how we pass it on, and that's how we pass it forward. So each and every young person out there that is thinking, what is my tomorrow going to be like? Believe in yourself, work at it. Nothing is for free. Work at it, work at your craft, you know, learn. You are never too old to learn. You learn each and every day. There is always something new that is coming up. We are living in a digital world. We are living in a very, very fast world. Technologies change every single day. So you have to be on top of your game, especially if you are saying you're a professional or you're an expert in a particular thing. You have to be ahead of the game. So always learning, always challenging yourself, and trying to find out what is new. I think for us women, the opportunity as well that the world is now open for all of us. Our parents, they were limited in terms of what they could do. For us, the world is an oyster. So never limit yourself, and don't wait for any man to come and saying, you know what, I will open the door for you. You know, if it's not open, break it down. If it's not there, create it and move and find your space.
Join the conversation on our Facebook page @Thando Channel and let us know what resonated the most with you on this episode of Speaking from the Heart.